My name is Njoroge Big Scoop, a building construction contractor, and we take you through different processes, different stages of construction. And last time we talked, we actually went up to project registration. And so I don't want to go back there because we are now getting started. And now as we get started, we look at things that we need to do as we take the project now to as we start off with the project. Construction is one field. Well, it has so many people. It's very diverse. It has many people. It will have steel fixers. It will have carpenters. It will have masons, plasterers. It will have the glazing guys. Welders will also come in. Tilers will come in. You will even have specialists like roofers, the guys that are good at joinery works, the guys that will come and work on your ceiling, the gypsum ceiling. Electricians are coming in, and even electrician, we look at different grading of these electricians because there are some work that will require different electricians. Like for example, if you are now doing when you are doing some installation of like electrical installation in your house, fine, but you see from there you also need to imagine take for instance installation of solar system in your house, installation of heating systems in your house. All these, you are bringing in different people, and you must know how to get the right people. Because if you don't get the right people, then definitely you will mess. And if your project you're messing around with your project, it's very expensive. You're not managing cost, and sometimes functionality is also compromised. So we need to get things right. We need to get things right. We need to plan, and we need to plan early, and we need to bring in the right people. Before we get started, there are things that we need to first do, and like I had mentioned, we need to plan. We need to plan. Once the plan is in place, it's now execution and monitoring. And as we monitor, the project is completed. It comes now to a closure of that project. Now, this is just a brief on how you go about it. And now, once we've given this brief, we'll start off now the site. We'll start off with the site. Okay, now, when it comes to planning, we need to look at what we need to define the scope of this work. Need to define the scope of this work. For instance, there are some works that require manual works, especially, let's look, for instance, like when you're handling earthworks or the leveling. Let me just use leveling or earthworks, or even cutting, or even excavation. There are times when you have a massive project, the kind of foundation that you need to have there is a different one from the one that we normally use for small projects. In small projects, we use strip foundation. In a massive project, you might go for a raft foundation. For in a raft foundation means that we are going to excavate the whole area. It's like we have a 1 mega base, a very huge base, single one, with steel and casted. So that kind of excavation, you cannot do it by hand. Take for instance, you're excavating about 6 meters deep, and in an area of about 450 square meters. So 450 square meters times 6 meters, that is crazy. Whereby you need to excavate and cut away the spoil, or rather the soils that you are getting from this excavation. That is why planning is crucial, because when you plan, you come up with you plan and come up with objectives, and look for resources, because you will definitely know we will definitely find out what is needed where. There are times you need to bring in plant equipment. You need to bring in equipment like excavators and tippers for removal of your spoil. And if it is quite massive, and you also need to look at where to dispose this. So that is why planning is very, very, very important, because it will help you also look for know the right the plan for resources. You plan the work, define it, the scope of this work, and know what is required, so that you also facilitate the requirements, the amount that goes to these activities. Knowing that, you also give time frames to this. For example, if it is foundation work, you look at the path. You look at the path that it takes, that magnitude of that work, that time that it takes, the planning, because weather can affect your work. Weather can affect your work, so you need to also be ahead of time. And sometimes you can even affect your neighbors. You have to know, now this is it, you have to go this deep. And do we have adjacent neighbors? How do we protect our adjacent neighbors? And knowing that the loading of our structures are transmitted at an angle of 45 degrees. It's not centric like this, like it goes on a straight line. Yes, on a straight line. That is why in most cases, like when you're looking at a wall, you stagger the joint. You stagger the joint so that that distribution goes at an angle. All the way when it is transmitted to the ground, at that angle as well. When you're looking at a strip foundation, or a strip foundation whereby a wall is about 200 millimeter, the width of the footing is about 600, so that